Hey, Shooks. Today is the day for a brand new episode of your favorite guilty pleasure. I'm talking about the Melanin Mayhem podcast, hosted by your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. If today is your first time dropping in on the Mayhem, well, welcome, honey. I truly appreciate the stream. Hopefully you are listening on Spotify, too. Well, since you are here, let me go on ahead and tell you what you've stumbled upon. You see, every week I'm going to bring you the story of a heinous, I'm talking diabolical and downright audacious crimes committed by some melanated baddies that you may not have heard about. And if you do know them, I promise you haven't heard the story the way I'm going to tell it. You see, that's because I'm out here on a mission. A one-woman band dispelling this pervasive myth that there are certain types of crimes that black people don't commit. Honey, that's cap all day. Honey, black people have been committing serial and prolific shenanigans since Adam and Eve. Honey, we go way back. And let me tell you, I dig up the stories, honey, and come with all the tea. So go on ahead and get comfortable, sugar, because today you in for a real ride. Okay, now to my main things. I'm talking about my peoples, my crime cousins that show up every week to shoot the shit with me. Hey, boo. What it do, Noir Nation? Y'all missing our hour fooling around with this daylight savings time foolishness. Honey, are y'all missing this hour? Ooh, honey, this is daylight savings time foolishness, baby. I need my hour back, honey. Time is already flying and it seems like it's on super fast now. Just slow down just a little bit for me. I hope that your March is off to a fabulous start. For church announcements today, don't forget there is merch available on the website. That's melaninmayhempodcast.com. You can also get the e-guide because I know some of you got some stories that you want to tell and you want to figure out some things. So go on ahead and download From Case to Compelling. It's available also on the website. Don't forget about the private Facebook group. It is the Melanin Mayhem Podcast discussion group, and you can find that over on Facebook. Just answer a few questions and I will let you in. I was trying to get that out first because somebody told me, you be forgetting to promote all of the stuff. And I'm like, you know what? You right. So let me go on ahead and do that in the beginning in the church announcements. And we can go from there. So what else do we have? Don't forget, we're going to try to do a little something for Essence. Y'all let me know. Anybody planning on attending? This is going to be my first time ever going. So it's going to be kind of a business and pleasure type of situation. I was thinking about getting a booth, but why would I get a booth? That means I'd have to be in one place for 13 hours a day? No. I want to be in the mix, in the peoples, mixing it up and talking to people and telling as many people as I can come in contact with, hey, get down with the Melanin Mayhem podcast. And I am still looking for a venue to do something small and intimate, We're going to see. It is Essence Weekend and the prices are sky high. So for all my New Orleans peoples, if you got peoples that's got a little lounge or a bookstore or something like that got a little space to do a little something, let the country girl know so I know what's up. All right, I think that is all that we have for church announcements today, so govern yourselves accordingly. I guess we can go on ahead and get to the business at hand, right? Today we're gonna switch it up just a little bit. Today's episode has a little different flavor from our usual shenanigans, but I'm gonna keep it a buck and on theme because yes, this motherfucker did some mayhem, all right. And the shit was prolific. But unlike most of our maleficent murderous mayhem makers who build their body counts over time, this nigga here got his all in one whop. Today we're going to talk about another one of them crimes that black people supposedly don't commit. I'm talking about mass shootings. You see, I kind of fell down a rabbit hole. Y'all know how I get in them rabbit holes. And I fucked around and found another little sub series, like our Women on Death Row editions that I do. And from what I've been able to uncover in my little researches is that it's true. We are in the minority when it comes to mass shootings. I have brought y'all some stories right here on this Hilla podcast, on some ones that did the damn thing. But I uncovered a whole nother subset. To me, it seems like we fall into one of three categories when it comes to shootings of the mass variety. You see, we either gonna shoot up the workplace cause somebody done did some bullshit up in here, a la y'all remember Nathan Dunlap and what is his name, Omar Thornton. You know, when they catch that pink slip, you know, sometimes some of these folks ain't wrapped too tight, and they'll come back and shoot the place up, right? You know, but you know, 2 and 3 are two sides of the same coin. We either get radicalized and want to kill non-black people, or we get fed up and we want to kill cops. The story that I have to talk to you about today is about the latter. I'm gonna tell you about a mass shooting that went down in Dallas 10 years ago this year, and it was bad too, y'all. And I'm sure some of y'all remember this story, especially if you're from the Dallas area. And we are gonna dive deep. We're gonna look at this thing from all sides, because at the time when it happened, it was the deadliest attack on law enforcement since 9/11. I mean, that's a big fucking deal. That's prolificness, y'all, and that's what we do here on this podcast, right? So without further ado, we're going to go on ahead and get to the business at hand, shall we? Bringing to the front of the congregation to properly dissect this story, this week's Melanin Mayhem maker, his name is Micah Xavier Johnson. I call him the soldier that turned into a sniper. Honey, y'all, it has been a whole day. Tell me why it is 3:00 in the morning, Tuesday morning. I have been on the side of the road. My car died. The alternator. Then the tow truck. $350 later because it's raining in Atlanta and it's after midnight and I live in the boondocks. Calgon, please take me away. Please, 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 and thank you. All right, we got a story to tell, so let's get into it. Micah Xavier Johnson was born July 2nd, 1991. He's a millennial for sure. His mama's name was Delphine Johnson. No idea who the pappy is. I know he has at least 2 siblings, a sister and a younger brother. Now, Micah, he had a regular childhood. He wasn't out there torturing animals. He wasn't bullying his siblings. He wasn't fantasizing about taking women out the game. No. He was a well-adjusted kid that had friends of all ethnicities. He played basketball. They say you could always find him at the neighborhood court. He wasn't a loner. In fact, everybody says he was kind of like a clown, always joking. Gregarious is how some described him. In school, he wasn't passing through, but he also wasn't in danger of being valedictorian. He, much like myself, was in ROTC in high school. I loved that class. Baby, twice a week I didn't have to worry about what I was wearing, and if I must say so myself, I looked good in that pickle suit, which is so not the point. Micah would go on to graduate from John Horn High School in Mesquite, Texas in 2009, and shortly after he enlisted in the Army Reserves. His job would be carpentry and masonry, and he was in the 284th Engineer Company of the 420th Engineer Brigade. Y'all, the reserves is just 1 weekend a month, so he bounced around as young people do in different jobs. For a while, he was a foreman at a place that distributed advertising flyers in the McKinney, Texas area. Then he was like a shift manager at Jimmy John's over in North Dallas. Then he was a quality assurance specialist for a trucking company in Garland, Texas. So Micah, as a young man, he would work and he didn't mind driving to get to work. You know, he was positive. He was a productive member of society. He didn't bother nobody. He went to work, he went home, he drank his water, and he minded the business that paid him. Now, he did the reserves for about 3 years and some change, and then he went full time in the Army in September of 2013. And from what I can tell, it would appear that throughout his high school years, it was a goal perhaps for him to go on to serve his country, even become a police officer, right? He had this idea in his head that he was going to be all he could be, and Uncle Sam was going to have his back, and there was going to be GI bills for education and VA loans for housing, and he would be taken care of, right? It's almost like he had a romanticized view of what military life would look like, right? And I think his reserve stint probably colored that a little bit too. Little known fact, your favorite country girl was also in the reserves for like 6 months when I was in high school. They had this program. It was called the delayed entry program, and you would in the summer after your 11th grade year, you would go do basic training, and then when you graduated, you would go and finish the rest of your training, right? And I would go once a month to the reserve base, and when I tell y'all, it was easy like Sunday morning, child. But this was in the 90s, and for me, all I did was stand around all day shooting the shit one weekend a month. So like Micah, I thought this shit gravy. A bitch could do this all day and twice on Sundays, My recruiter was cool, and it seems like I was about to come up, right? And then I got ready to go to basic training and found out I was pregnant, and that put paid to that. They sent my ass home expeditiously. Well, Micah, he wasn't pregnant, right? And he was ready to go get his full-time status on. But something was a little off. See, they say Micah was average at best, and I'm okay with that. Everybody ain't meant to be G.I. Joe, right? Some people just want to do their time and get the hell on. They ain't trying to show out, and Micah was that dude. One of his comrades described Micah as lacking a certain technical skills that you would need as a soldier, namely the ability to shoot. They say Micah scored poorly on his shooting test. He was ranked as a marksman, which is basically like putting your name on the SAT. But he was cool because fortunately there are other soldiers that know how to handle themselves with a rifle. You know what I'm saying? He was out here trying to build some shit. He wasn't trying to shoot no shit. Okay, so he was fine with that. And it seemed like Micah was doing all right. He's well adjusted. He's got friends that he's made in the Army, and he's gainfully employed. So I know he doesn't sound like the makings of a mayhem maker. But if you stay with me, I'm about to get into what I believe got this whole thing started, right? So sometime in 2009, I'm talking about the year that he graduated, Micah met a girl, and he was head over heels for her from what I could tell, but she sent him straight and directly to the friend zone, right? And like many dudes that don't make the romantic cut, Micah was cool with being her best friend. But you see, I think that he was trying to play the long game. And I believe that he hoped that this would turn into one of those rom-com type of situations where the girl realizes that she's in love with her best friend. The Hallmark movie type of situation. Well, this young lady, according to Micah's people, she spent a lot of time with Micah. Like they were like peas and carrots, peanut butter and jelly. She would spend the night at Micah's mama house, and she would sleep in his room in his bed with him. Come on now, girl. Now, they say the girl was like a part of the family. That's how close they were, right? She would buy his mama gifts and stuff for the holidays. So it was kind of like a play cousins type of situation going on. But Micah wanted to be kissing cousins. But she wasn't down with that, right? But this woman, she's also in the military, and she's in the same unit as Micah. Well, when Micah went full-time in the Army in September of 2013, he got deployed to Afghanistan 2 months later in November of 2013. And old girl did too. So, okay, they're in Afghanistan. There's a war situations going on, but by the time Micah and them got there, the shit was kind of dying down. But again, they're still in a war zone in Afghanistan, so they were basically only allowed to kick it at the base. There was no running around Afghanistan all willy-nilly. You know what I'm saying? So as time went by, Micah's friends say that the stresses of being in a war zone, they started to get to him. And I think anybody thrust into a war zone type of situation, you're going to be a little stressed, so this doesn't seem so far off to me, right? Even though Micah wasn't on the front lines, he had friends that were, and some of them lost their lives, and that affected Micah. Those rose-colored glasses that he had been wearing was suddenly starting to turn gray. And the life that he had imagined that he would be leading as a full-time soldier wasn't turning out the way that he thought, The disillusionment was real. Now, I can't imagine what it would be like to be stuck in the Middle East, missing your home, not liking my environment, and not being able to do shit about it, right? Micah was suffering, but he didn't have the tools to deal with it. And he was trying to get by, he was trying to deal, but I don't think he had the tools necessary to deal with this emotional, mental type of situation. But he was trying to cope, and the way he was trying to get by would turn out to bite him in the ass. I'm gonna tell you. So, okay, base life, while dangerous, it's monotonous, right? Same shit day after day, same people, same place day after day, right? So thankfully, old girl was there to help keep it, a little lively, make it a little better for Michael, right? Only she didn't know just how she was helping him make it. It all came to a head, y'all. Okay. At some point, the base had an issue with potable water, and for like 5 weeks, no water. And so they couldn't wash their ass or their clothes. So it was hoe baths for everybody. Well, even with the hoe bath, their uniform got to be clean, right? So you can't be walking around in nasty, funky fatigues. So they contracted with some local Afghan women to come in and wash the clothes, right? Well, old girl and Micah, they're still best friends, peas and carrots, right? And one day, Micah offers to drop off her laundry with his stuff. Old girl was like, bet. Well, when she got her clothes back, some shit was missing. I ain't talking about her fatigues. Oh no, honey. What was missing? Her panties. So at first, old girl was thinking that, one of them Afghani women done got her for her Victoria's Secrets. So she go and she confronts the women about her panties. Y'all, I'm gonna tell you, I had to check myself on this one because at first I was like, girl, for real? This what we doing? You about to square up on a bit by some drawers? But then I had to think, military people have to be able to carry all their shit in like 2 bags when they're deployed, which means you can't have 50, 11 pairs of panties. So you probably gotta pack like, I don't know, 8, 10 pair, I don't know, a week's worth plus some emergency just in case pairs, right? And so if some panties come up missing, looking at it like that, yeah, I can see how this would be a thing. But, at first I was tripping. So, back to the story. Oh, girl, she run up on the ladies that wash the clothes and asked them, straight up, y'all got my drawers? And the ladies was like, nah, sure, we don't get down like that. Whatever y'all send to get washed, get sent back to you. We not fucking with y'all shit. You can check me. We don't have your shit. And again, it ain't like, oh, girl can run over to the Afghani Walmart and grab some more underwear, right? So I can understand her making a fuss about her missing drawers. And baby, a fuss it must have been, because the next thing you know, there is a search going on of all the soldiers' quarters looking for the missing panties. Like, what? Okay, so they're looking through everybody's shit. And y'all, they found the missing panties, all right. Tell me why they found Micah trying to get rid of the panties. Nigga, what is you doing with them drawers, boy? Remember, Micah was the one who had offered to take old girl's clothes to the laundry. He was the last person to have hands on the panties, right? Baby, they snatched them drawers up. Baby, tell me why them drawers was still nasty. Ooh, Micah, you old nasty boy. He ain't never even sent them clothes to be washed. He took them out and kept them. Nigga. Like, okay, I can see a world where a person might do something extreme like this. I mean, you in a war zone. You can't go nowhere. You been had a crush on this girl and she ain't feeling you like that. So, to help get your rocks off, maybe you just grab a pair of her panties for your own alone time activities, But I'm talking 1 pair, nigga. You not supposed to take damn near half her stash, you nasty buzzle. Boy, 1 pair, sir. 1 pair. You done damn near took all the panties that this woman got, and you didn't think that she would notice. You didn't think that she would raise the alarm, and you didn't think that she would raise the alarm so much that the powers that be would take it this seriously. But they did, and you got caught red-handed as the panty thief in a war zone. And I'm sorry, y'all. In the grand scheme of things, I'd rather he be a panty thief than a pussy snatcher. I'm just saying. This is why I know he wasn't happy being in the friend zone, but he was willing to do it. But he needed a little something to get him through, Motherfucker up in there smelling weak old worn panties. Nasty. Okay, boy. I bet you Michael was one of them I drink your bath water type of niggas. Just so in love with this woman that he cannot have. Tragedy. Well, the MPs immediately took his weapon and they put him under a 24-hour-a-day escort. So everywhere Michael went, he had a babysitter because he couldn't be trusted not to steal nobody else's panties. Wait a minute. Wait just a goddamn minute. Ain't we at war? Surely y'all got something better to do with your time than to chaperone a panty pinching punk. I'm just saying. And this little army installation is small. And so before long, everybody knew what had happened. So Michael was the butt of all the jokes, pun intended. Now, as for old girl, she was creeped the fuck out because, nigga, you been the homie for years. And she knew he loved her dirty drawers, but she didn't have no thought that he was gonna be stealing her dirty drawers, literally, And I get that too. Possibly I would be on one too, because she is also in the middle of a war zone away from her family and her friends, and is going through some things, and this might have just been the straw that just broke the goddamn camel's back. Maybe them was her favorite panties. You know what I'm saying? We all got a favorite pair of panties, and these motherfuckers done came up missing, and I want my shit. It's like Eve with the apple juice. Leave my shit alone. So I can get it. I can get it, but this is where it gets interesting, because this is not a sexual assault. You could probably stretch your imagination far and wide and twist and bend the law and make it into something, but what we think of as a sexual assault, this is not on the spectrum, right? So you would think that this would be one of those situations where Michael would get a good talking to and, maybe a demotion in rank or something like that. We've heard about actual assaults that happen in the military, and the soldiers are able to keep right on soldiering, right? But this here little case of sticky finger panty snatching is about to blow the fuck up. So old girl files a complaint against Micah with the Army in May of 2014. Then she took it a step further and got a protective order to keep Micah away from her family, the restaurant. I guess that must have been a family business back home in Texas. And it also said any other place that she may reside. She reside in the middle of a war zone right now. So if she get this little protective order, that means Michael can't be there. And I got to tell you, this had my flabbergasted, because I didn't know that you could get a restraining order during a war in another country. But clearly it can happen. But think about it. Oh, girl was hot by this shit. Nigga, you in the middle of a war, and I want you to stay the fuck away from me and mines now and when we get home. And the coup de grace, she said they needed to get him some mental health. Ooh, girl, yeah, you was hot by that shit. That's a lot. I don't know. That just seems like a lot. And like I said, usually this would have been resolved with a good talking to from his commander, maybe a reduction in rank. But no, that's not what happened. She filed that complaint in May, and by July 2014, they sent his ass home. Yes, honey, you got to get the fuck out of Afghanistan and go back to Texas. Yes. And by September 2014, Michael was signing his get your ass up out of here paperwork saying that he would receive a less than honorable discharge from the Army. But even though he signed this paperwork, he wasn't out for real, because Michael would go on to stay for another 7 months until April of 2015, when he would be formally discharged. And when they discharged him, the discharge was honorable. Like, what the fuck? My little brief stint in the military does not equip me to know the inner workings, but I got enough family members and friends in the Army specifically, and they say something like this: something in the milk ain't clean. I get it. I really do get it. But at the same time, I don't get it because I got some homeboys, strictly friend zone type of situation. And if I were to find out that some kind of way they had procured some of my draws, I would be looking at them sideways and I would probably cuss their ass out. But if we've been friends since we've been in high school, I would think, I don't know, there would be some grace. Like, I would be mad, but I don't know. In a war zone, I just think I would have some grace. I don't think I would have tried to get my friend kicked out the army. I probably would have been on some, I don't fuck with you no more. Don't bother me. Don't come around me. We not cool. Whatever type of situation. But I don't think I would have took it this far. But this shit blew up. And so now Micah's out the army. So now what? I'm going to tell you what. His panty stealing ass is back home in Mesquite, Texas, which is about 30 minutes from Dallas. And baby, he is a changed man. Gone is that young man that left, that was happy-go-lucky and positive and inquisitive. He was replaced by a man that was like, had the weight of the world on his shoulders. I mean, life stateside wasn't no picnic because shit was going down in the culture. Like lots of police shootings of unarmed black men, and Micah felt like the government couldn't be trusted. And so now Micah is turning into this reclusive, bitter, and resentful man about all of this shit that he don't have no control over, right? And, even with an emotional roller coaster of transitioning from soldier to civilian, adulting don't stop. Even though he back at his mama house in Mesquite, you got to get that ass up and get to working and earn a livable wage. So he does indeed do that. He gets a job as an aide for mentally challenged kids and adults. And he does that, but he's not the same person. I mean, he still loves to play basketball or whatever. He still got his friends, but everybody notices that there is a change in Micah. Well, 14 months and some change later, we find ourselves on the day that Micah had simply had enough. Alton Sterling and Philando Castile had been murdered by the police like back to back, and the people were marching and holding demonstrations all over the U.S. protesting the unlawfulness of the killing of unarmed black men. Y'all remember it? That was when Black Lives Matter was born, and we were going through some shit, right? And something broke inside of Micah. Like many people all over the world, the act of killing these black men back to back was just too much. But unlike most people who peacefully express their disgust for these scare-ass cops that had itchy trigger fingers, Micah is about to show his anger rather than verbalize it. You see, there was a Black Lives Matter protest that was scheduled to march through downtown Dallas on July 7th, 2016. The march was a planned march. They had their city permits and all of that. And as such, there was going to be police presence on hand to make sure didn't nothing pop off, And so Micah drives to the location where the march is happening. And he parks his SUV near like the end point of where the march is going to cut off. He gets out of his car, and as he is getting out, he sees a couple of cops that are, just standing around being security or whatever. And Micah is armed. Like, he's got a semi-automatic rifle, he's got a handgun, and he's got ammo for days. He got a bulletproof vest. Like, he is ready to cause some mayhem. He parks his car, he gets out, and he actually speaks to those officers that he saw. I mean, trades a few words, hey, how y'all doing, whatever. And then he dips off, and then he sets it off. Micah goes to like an elevated position so that he is up high looking down low. And it's over on Lamar Street. And by now it's about just a little bit past 8:30 at night. And the crowd of protesters are starting to show up. So there's lots of people around. And then the next thing you know, around 8:45-ish, shots rang out. And Michael started letting that rifle go. And baby, immediately the environment turns to chaos. People are running and screaming and trying to get out of the line of sight of the shooter. And the shooter is just, at first seems to be shooting indiscriminately. But then it becomes clear that no, Yes, the shooter is shooting into the crowd, but the shooter is not shooting at the people. The shooter is shooting at the police. The first two officers that are shot are officers Patrick Zamarripa and Michael Kroll. They are killed, lost their lives on the line of duty. Now, Micah is on the move. He is blending in with all this chaos around him because he isn't done. So while people are running every which way, Micah is running too, but his is more of a purposeful run. He knows where he's going. He is taking cover and again going up to places where he can be elevated and taking sniper shots at police officers, right? And what's crazy is, y'all remember they said when he was in the Army, they was talking about Micah was average at best. He didn't apply himself. He wasn't a soldier. You know, he wasn't a good shooter. But here he is out here on the streets of downtown Dallas in full G.I. motherfucking Joe mode. Like, this nigga is ducking and dodging and scaling shit. I mean, he looked like he was in a combat zone under heavy fire. Y'all can see there are videos of him running and dodging and using stuff for cover and peeping around shit. Like, this nigga was damn near doing parkour out this motherfucker. Like, he might not have looked like it, but clearly he was paying attention in them training classes in the Army because the nigga knew some things. He knew enough to have the cops thinking that it was multiple shooters out there, bitch. So Micah sees Officer Brent Thompson. Officer Thompson is a transit cop. Walks up on this man and shoots him in the back. Like, took him out the game. And Officer Thompson, he worked, like I said, he's a transit cop. He was the first DART officer ever killed in the line of duty in that agency in its history, right? So Micah is still not done. I mean, he is still actively shooting at police and hitting them. Like, don't like I said, they said he wasn't no good shot. Shitting me. This motherfucker is pretty much everything that he is aiming at. He putting a bullet in that ass. And the police are scrambling to find a suspect. Like, they are taking cover and they are helping the wounded officers. They dragging them out the line of fire. Like, it's chaos in the midst of this Dallas downtown street. And so while all of this is going on, you know, everybody has a camera out. And even though people are ducking and dodging and running and screaming and hollering and crying and falling and everything, there are people that are just standing still and they are recording. And so at some point, somebody said they seen something and they took it to the police. And there's this man who the Dallas police tweet his picture out. And they say they want to talk to him like he a suspect, right? And this man, his name is Mark Hughes. He was at the protest. And, you know, Texas being an open carry state, he was there with a rifle and somebody saw him and they said that they saw him shoot. So since he was armed, he must be the shooter. So they tweeted this man's face out and they changed his life instantly. Now, Mark is just a pro Second Amendment guy. He lives in a carry at will state, and now the police think that he's a cop killer. But Mark's brother, his name was Corey. He's one of the organizers of the march. And he quickly went to the police and was like, hey, ho. You got my brother's face plastered all over Beyonce's internet. He ain't the dude y'all looking for. What do we need to do to clear this little shit here up? Because this shit here got to be taken down. And so Mark expeditiously hands over his rifle for inspection to prove that it has not been shot. And Mark was not the nigga that they were looking for. And they detained him till like 1 o'clock in the morning, questioning him and doing what they do. And he was indeed cleared, but the damage was done. They put his face out saying that, hey, we want this nigga. And so this man and his family immediately started getting death threats. Like, changed his life, and he had shit to do with nothing just because he was carrying his rifle in an open carry state. And mind you, while all of this is going on, the shooting is still shooting. Like, it's still going down. Hours later, after Micah has taken out a good number of police officers, they chase him into a parking garage. And it's here that Micah makes his last stand. Now, the parking garage is surrounded by police with their fingers on the motherfucking trigger. And they bring in a negotiator to try to talk Micah down. And in the course of the discussions with the negotiator, Micah tells him that he mad. He just mad. He's furious. He's mad at white people and he just want to kill white people. Specifically, he wants to kill white cops. And they won't stop killing black people and nobody is doing anything about it. So he gonna do something about it. He wants to kill as many white officers as possible. Now that's what he's telling the negotiator. Bruh. This ain't gonna end well. Now, I told y'all that throughout this whole ordeal, police have been thinking that this was a coordinated attack and that Micah could not have caused all of this carnage by himself. This average, unmotivated soldier who's been kicked out of the military, right? But while Micah was talking with the negotiator, he made it clear that he didn't have any accomplices and this was his handiwork and his handiwork alone. There was no one else for them to find. And despite this, they done grabbed up Mark's ass and they grabbed up 3 other people and took them into custody as persons of interest. Because they just knew that they had to have had something to do with the shooting. You know, they took 2 men and a woman into custody and eventually they were cleared as having had taken part in this massacre because, as Micah told y'all, this was a one-man band. Now, it became obvious to the police after some hours that Michael wasn't going to come out waving no white flag. And so, since he wouldn't surrender, he would have to be taken with force. But the police didn't want to lose any more of their people, you know, by putting them in harm's way because Micah has made it clear he ain't got no problems popping a cap in your ass, right? So the decision is made to send in a robot to take down Micah. Now, they call it a MarkBot, and that stands for Multifunction Agile Remote Controlled Robot. It looked like a Tonka truck with an arm attached to it that can hold something like a phone if you need to start communications, or a bomb if you want to cut off all communications forever. And that's exactly what they wanted to do. They sent that remote controlled robot right on up in there, wheeled that motherfucker right to where Michael was holed up at and blowed his ass the fuck up. Game over. Permanently. There will be no arrest. There will be no trial. There will be no jury. Honey, judgment has been passed right here on the streets of downtown Dallas in a parking garage. Micah Xavier Johnson was sent on to glory July 8th, 2016. By the time the sun rose and that big girl from Decatur was singing softly in the background, Micah had murdered 5 police officers and wounded 7 other police officers, as well as 2 civilians. One of the civilians I was able to find out was a woman named Shatima Taylor. She was 37 years old and she was at the protest with her 4 sons. She threw her body over her children to protect them and she got shot in the calf. Like, what the fuck, Micah? When the news started coming out about what kind of man had done this heinous crime, the narrative began to form, and it was a familiar one. The way the media spun it, Micah was a loner. That's what all the headlines screamed. He was radicalized. They went through his Facebook and saw that he liked a page for the African American Defense League and as well as for the New Black Panther Party, which was formed in Texas. He also had a picture where he was wearing a dashiki with his arm raised in the Black Power fist. So, you know, that absolutely meant that he was one of the radical ones, right? And so the police, when they ran up in his mama house over in Mesquite, they say they found bomb-making materials in his house, along with bulletproof vests and rifles and ammunition and books on combat tactics. Now, this all goes against the narrative that his friends and family have said about him, right? And what it does is it goes to show you that if you fuck around and pop off, the first thing they gonna do is twist the narrative. Now, in no way am I condoning what Micah did, but two things can be true at the same time. He was a good dude, a little weird at times, but a decent dude, and he let his emotions get the better of him, and he committed a diabolical crime against humanity. And since there is no judicial aftermath to this story, let's just sit right here for a minute and unpack this a little bit, shall we? Because I'm sorry, y'all, some shit need to be said that we don't usually say out loud in mixed company, but the company ain't too mixed, and the ones that is in here, govern yourselves accordingly. Now, y'all know when the killings of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling or George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, or you just name which other innocent melanated person was killed by police, emotions were high, and some people took that shit harder than others. You know, maybe you had a conversation with somebody in your family, one of your friends, over the shooting, and the shit got real heated when the conversation turned to these events and how nobody was being held accountable and how the cops was just fucking us up at will, right? And I don't know, some of my friends, maybe you got some too, maybe it was you, was real hot, like hot. And you know, they was saying some things that political correctness say we ain't supposed to say out loud. But you know, we keep it a buck over here, and we know shit was being said about how we need to just start taking out cops like they taking us out, right? But, I mean, those thoughts, those words, a flight of fantasy, you know, one of those type of thoughts. It's I'm mad right now and I want vengeance to be mine type of thought. But for most, it's just that. It's a thought. Something that gives the illusion of a solution. Something that gives despair in our hearts a moment of respite against the systematic oppression our people have faced just because of the magical melanin in our skin. And like I said, for most, it's a fleeting thought that is forgotten almost as quickly as it came. But for others, them thoughts become action plans. They become the ignition source for a fuse that is worn way too short. And then, boom. Now, I ain't gonna hold you. It's plenty of black people since the first boats arrived that have thought about, actively planned, and in some instances executed the plan to kill as many white people as possible. I mean, we can go back as far as Nat Turner during slavery all the way to Micah Johnson and beyond, because please understand, Micah is not the only black man in modern times to turn his gun on cops because they tired of the bullshit. Trust, I will be bringing you their stories in future episodes, right? And since we're going deep, when this type of killation happens, yes, we condemn it. And while I wouldn't dream of speaking for all melanated people, I will say and feel comfortable saying that there is a portion of the diaspora that understands what led to this violence. What was it that Chris Rock said in that joke? I ain't saying he right. I'm saying I understand. And that's exactly what I feel about Micah's crime. I absolutely am not saying he is right, because he ain't. He dead fucking wrong. But I also do understand where a frame of mind when you are despondent and disillusioned and just fucking angry at the people that are killing the people that look like you and they're getting away with the shit. Like I said earlier, two things can be true at the same time. I can understand where Micah was coming from, and I can condemn what he did because it was fucked up. Them officers that he killed and wounded, they weren't the ones that killed Philando or Breonna or Alton or any one of those people, you know? They were made to pay for a crime that they did not commit. And the crimes weren't even committed in their jurisdiction. This shit was senseless. It was reckless. Micah shot up a peaceful protest. What about all of those people that were scared and got hurt? Those black people, those people that were there with their kids. I mean, I already told you about the woman that was there with her sons. Micah shot her as she was trying to protect her boys. Your mama didn't raise you like that, Micah. But you know what? This shit happens to people from all kinds of backgrounds. Being raised in a good home and having a decent life does not mean a person can't act upon emotion and fuck some shit up. When the news came out and they named Micah as the shooter, I mean, his friends and family, they just couldn't believe it. Not Xavier, because, that's what they called him. They called him by his middle name. It couldn't be him. They couldn't be talking about my friend. They can't be talking about my cousin. I know they ain't talking about my brother. I know they not talking about my son. My fellow brother in arms. Not him. That was everybody's reaction. Not him. Usually when we talking about these mayhem makers, it's the friends and the neighbors and shit to be talking about, I always knew that motherfucker had it in him. But not Micah. He wasn't that type of dude. And then the pictures came out, and once they saw his face, it was like, yeah, that's my cousin. That's my brother. That's my friend. That's my brother in arms. The one that nobody thought could have been capable of something like this. The quiet one. The gregarious one. He was now the loner, the domestic terrorist, the cop killer. A young man. He was young. He was only 25 when all of this happened. We talking about a young man that had no criminal history whatsoever. Ain't never been a problem. Save for that little panty bullshit, you know what I'm saying? He's never been a problem. I mean, he tried to serve his country, but because of a lack of self-control at best or perverted tendencies at worst, he was kicked out on his ass to come back to the civilian world where it felt like black men were being hunted like big game kills on a safari. And again, I'm not saying he's right. I'm not. I'm just saying I understand. I don't understand what it's like to be a black man, but I've raised one. I've been around them my whole life, so I understand the pressures that they face. And thankfully, most are able to make it through this minefield of microaggressions and racism and bigotry called life as a black person without blowing a gasket and crashing completely the fuck out, right? But for that percentage of the melanated that are with the shits, this is something that we will see again, because as sure as shits think, eventually this ICE shit, it's gonna die down, and a new administration will come in and dismantle all of Trump's immigration policies and whatnot. And when the focus is off the deportation of the brown people and they stop snatching them up off the street, they're eventually gonna come back around to their favorite punching bag, the blacks. And then what? We wait for the next Micah Johnson to take matters into his own hands. I am sad that Micah didn't get the help that he needed. I'm sad that there wasn't someone around to be the voice of reason, that someone didn't see that he was real close to the edge. I am sorry that he took his pain and frustration out on the cops of Dallas and the people that were trying to express themselves peacefully. I know I do my fair share of shit talking about the police, but please understand, I am in no way, shape, form, or fashion one of those defund the police type of people. Because I think that we need them to do a job that is dangerous and thankless in so many ways that don't nobody else want to do it. Because when some shit is going wrong and everybody is running away, the police are the ones that are running towards the danger. They are the ones that are trying to solve the crimes, and I appreciate the fuck out of that, right? If ever I need to dial 911, I want somebody to come and see what the fuck is going on and help me handle my shit with authority and respect. But at the same time, I need the police to police their own ranks and root out them bad apples that's fucking up the profession as a whole, to hold their brothers and sisters in arms accountable if they out here acting like the year is 1926 instead of 2026. They need to stop letting these bad cops bounce from jurisdiction to jurisdiction when they get caught up in their shit. I mean, we have got to come together and figure something out, because we can't keep going like this. Nothing happens in a vacuum, and once these things start to happen, they inspire others to follow in the footsteps of the makers of mayhem, right? And the vicious cycle just keeps going and going and going and going, and all you end up with is mothers crying and children crying and sisters crying and brothers crying and cousins crying and friends crying. We got to do something. Like, there is no hope for redemption for Micah. That ship has sailed. Like, I hate that he didn't get his turn in the judicial system, but sometimes you can't take your lick back. You know, all I can do is hope that we can intercept the next Micah Johnson before he actually joins Micah. Now, this has been a heavy story. Like I told you, we was going to unpack some shit, but here's a little factoid to kind of, I don't know, lift the mood. It's not going to lift the mood, but it is a factoid nevertheless. The place where Micah opened fire on the police is just a couple of blocks from where President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. That area has a history of violence. Like, it was just something I came across and was like, oh shit, that's interesting. Again, random factoid. Maybe somebody will call you from a game show and you will be their phone a friend and you will know that and be able to tell them, yeah, okay. All right, y'all, it's late. So let's get into this shit on social media. I gotta go. You know how to get in contact with me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I am Melanin Mayhem Podcast. On X, I am Melanin Mayhem PC. The email is always open and waiting for you to send me something. You can reach me at melaninmayhempodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget the Facebook discussion group. Don't forget that we also have merch available at melaninmayhempodcast.com. Get your copy of the e-guide From Case to Compelling. This week's New Or Nation shout out is going to go to Priscilla Rose, who left a comment on Spotify on the episode Dopehead Demon of Death. Priscilla Rose says, thank you for finally telling this story. I personally knew Alfred Gaynor and several of his victims. He was a predator, and these women who, although they had issues, were human beings who deserved so much more better than to be tortured and dumped literally like garbage. They were mothers, grandmothers, aunts, daughters, and friends. The police did nothing for years because they were less than dead in the Mason Square in Hill McKnight area. Thank you for giving these victims a voice. Priscilla Rose, thank you so much for your kind words and for taking the time to actually write and let me know that you knew both the Mayhem Maker as well as some of the victims. I do appreciate all my reviews, but I really do like the ones where it's someone you know was a family member, because one, I'm not getting cussed out. Appreciate that. And two, it lets me know that I'm telling the story in a way that is respectful and not getting people all up in arms about it. So I am truly appreciative. And again, Priscilla Rose, thank you so much, honey. You have no idea how much this means to me. Thank you so much for listening. Keep on streaming. Please tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Put me in the group chat, y'all. We need to grow these numbers. Yes, I need you to put me on blast, baby. All right, y'all, it's so late. I have got to get up out of here because tomorrow, which is today, because again, it's like 4:00 in the morning, I got somewhere to be at 12:30. So that means I got to get up out of here. So before I go, you know, I love y'all. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. And I want you to know that every day, you all are the reason that just motivate me to keep going and doing and whatever, because even with no sleep, I'm having so much fun with y'all, and I appreciate you every single day. And if you can listen to me on Spotify, I appreciate you even more. All right, I'm delirious. I'm sleepy. So let's go ahead and close the doors of the church. Y'all go on ahead and be safe. And please, please, please stay ever vigilant. And remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. It's one love, New Orleans Nation, and your favorite country girl is out of here.
Woo-wee, Nana, you did that.
Wow.